Hello, hello. Welcome to the first real episode of the Scotch Talks podcast. I'm your host, Scott, but I do go by Scotch, so whatever you want to call me that. So I do want to open up these episodes by, I guess, just sharing things I've currently been through or are going through. So let's start off with that. One thing in my life really that I'm learning is the importance of sharing your truth. And what is that? One truth to me is the struggles I go through and sharing that online or in person with people. And for me, that really, really helps. When I share my truth, I can find people going through the same exact things as me. When I am open about my struggles, I find connection through other people who are going through the same things, right? And when I'm quiet, when I don't share, I don't find those people. I don't find the connection that I'm yearning for. And so what I really just want to say is when you do share your truth, when you share the struggles that you're going through, when you share the hard times in your life with the people around you that you love, and hopefully you have people you love or can find those people, your life gets better, right? And also the people around you's life gets better. So when I share my struggles online, on social media, or in person, I not only help myself by releasing that control of secretiveness around these things I go through, but I also help others know that they're not alone, right? So when I share on social media about something in my life that I'm going through, I receive so much support, but also so many people reach out and say, thank you. I'm going through the same exact thing. And I thought that I was alone, and now I'm not. How important is that, right? We live in a very disconnected world right now, and I feel right now is the most important time. I mean, every time is the most important time, but right now is a very, very important time to be open, transparent, and communicative about your struggles, about your life, about what's going on. You're not on this earth to be alone. And that's something that I just want to share. So, sorry if that was heavy, or sorry if that was, I don't know. It is what it is. So again, I just want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all the support that I've had on my first episode, which was an 8-minute episode about me just introducing what this is going to be about. There's some funny bloopers on it, so if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. It's on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever. YouTube too, which is kind of weird. Yeah, so with all that being said, be open, be honest, be transparent, and share. Help yourself by helping others. And again, thank you for listening. So, hopping into it, my first guest on this podcast, drum roll, please. Oh, that's probably going to be super loud. Hold on. Snapping, please. Okay. Is going to be Keiki-Lani Knudsen. She goes by I'm Keiki. You can go check her out by Instagram, Facebook, or her website. Hop on your phone, go on Instagram right now, type in I'm Keiki, IMKEIKI. Again, that's IMKEIKI. She and I have been friends for so long, and she just finished college and is starting out her career. And there's some major, I don't know, if you're starting off as a photographer and don't know where to go or what to do, this is a really, really good episode to learn. Because not only does Keiki share her truths, but there's a lot of insight into what her and I both do, which is photographing music festivals. She does a lot of fashion and editorial type stuff as well. So if you're wanting to get into that, if you're have an interest in that, this is a good place to start. So I want to thank her for being my first guest. I kind of had to trick her into it by not really telling her what this was going to be about and just diving head into it. And I really thank her and appreciate her for being my first guest and for being such a great friend throughout the years. So, yes, with all that being said, welcome my first guest, Keiki. Woo! So we're recording.
Alrighty.
I am nervous, but not really, but also kind of. I guess welcome to the podcast. This is the first episode.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Not that I tricked you into it, but I just was very vague about it, I guess. So I apologize for that. But
it's okay.
Yeah.
I had a feeling something interesting was going to happen. So
Okay.
Knowing you, I was like, oh, okay, what's next?
Cool. Let's start off by your name.
Okay. So do you want me to give my full name?
Yeah, let's do your full name.
Okay.
What annoys you about your name?
Okay. So my name is Keiki-Lani Knudsen. I usually just go by Keiki. People tend to think that it's Kiki, and it's not. It's Keiki, like cake, and it's spelled Keiki, so that makes it even more confusing for people. And yeah, just don't call me Kiki. You can call me Cake, but Kiki is I don't love you, and I'm not Kiki, so please don't.
Yeah, that sucks. that song came out, and it's kind of your name, but not really. It's just missing an E.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your Instagram?
My Instagram is I'm Keiki, so I am Keiki, pretty much just my name, so it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Right.
Most people, when they search it, it's the first or second one, but
yeah. It's a unique name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start off by what is your work?
For me, I'm mostly a fashion and lifestyle photographer. I try to shoot a lot of portraits of people, just capture moments that are important to me in a sense of way, which doesn't always translate for other people, but I try to document things that are unique or eye-catching or just something that is, in a sense of way, pretty to look at, but not everyone's going to look at it as that. They won't instantly look for that specific thing to call it pretty.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And so can you give an example of what that may be?
Just small little things that people kind of tend to overlook.
Yeah.
I do a lot of detail shots of things that not everyone would take a second look at or spend that much time staring at. But then whenever I take a picture like that, I just feel more connected to what I like to do, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you want to go off on how we met and got kind of disconnected, and then now we're back together?
Yay.
Because we have kind of an interesting story, and I forget sometimes of I was telling you the other day, I forget how much we've been through.
Yeah, it's been a long, 4 years?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, starting now. We met during a very interesting time in my life when I moved to Orange County
Where from?
I think in 2014 from Oceanside, which was then I had originally moved from Hawaii out to California to chase my dream of going to school for photo. Parents didn't want me to do that at first, but now they've kind of opened up a little bit more.
Yeah.
When I got to Orange County, I didn't really have a lot of friends, and a friend of mine introduced me to the Yost Theater and a White Rabbit group, where Scott was actually photographing for I don't know how long, but he was their resident photographer.
Yeah.
And
really quick, the Yost Theater was a music venue. I don't know why I said that questionably.
It's an event venue, I guess, because you were doing other things like parties and fashion shows and burlesque kind of shows.
Right. And so I was photographing there 1 to 2 times a week for their electronic nights. where they had some pretty big names at the time.
People like Gasoline, Valentino Khan,
Jaws was
Jaws.
there.
Before Jaws was like huge.
It was Jaws' first show, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, just like they did a really good job on booking the artists and DJs before they got big.
Yeah.
And
they had branches.
Yeah.
Right before he got big and then kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
They had a couple of those shows. Yeah. They used to do shows in San Diego at Somewhere Loud. But yeah, that's kind of how we met. It was, I didn't have a ride home because I didn't have a car and had no friends. And it was kind of hard it was like right when Uber was starting. So it was kind of really hard to get Ubers out to Santa Ana in the middle of the night on a Thursday night to go back to Costa Mesa. So I asked Scott for a ride home, and yeah, every Thursday after that for like a couple months we would go to IHOP after our Yoast encounters. Yeah. At like 2 in the morning, eat chicken and waffles and hash browns and vent about the night. Yeah, exactly. We kind of disconnected for a little bit. When I moved. When he moved up to San Francisco, and I kind of stayed out here and finished school. Just honestly like growing in different ways with our own careers and lives and paths and stuff. Right. But we still kept our friendship. Like every time that he would come back down to Huntington Beach, we'd try to meet up and hang out or go on some crazy adventure to Salvation Mountain in the middle of the desert in summer at 113 degrees outside. That was awful. 3-hour drive and you spend 10 minutes outside because it's too hot. Yeah, that was terrible. So just a little background also, like I was working for Insomniac Events, or I still am, as a contracted photographer through them. And doing all their events and stuff. And I was doing that for a while and still am. And Keiki, was beginning her career in photography and like taking her cameras to events and just like doing a lot of school work and stuff too, and just working. Yeah. And, when I moved up to San Francisco, I just kind of worked the Insomniac shows up there. And then now Keiki landed a job with Insomniac as well. I don't know how, but I did. It was kind of random. Because before that, I was just doing a lot of freelance work where it was primarily fashion, which is my favorite thing. I didn't originally start in fashion. I started with surf and lifestyle, but then got into the transformational festival scene and their fashion, which is like a lot of the leading brands that are being used right now. Just photographing that scene and getting very comfortable and close with the people. They're some of the best people that I've ever met. And from there, it just kind of grew more and more into what it is now, which is interesting to see how different it is. Yeah. Definitely interesting. At like what point can you give us a little background in like how you got started and like, at what point did you know you wanted to do this? I've known since... Okay, so to start it off, I started my freshman year of high school taking a photography class. It was supposed to be an upperclassman class, but they had just opened up the program back to my school. And I had just moved from Japan to Hawaii for the first time since I was a baby. And so it was kind of like a weird, very interesting time in my life to figure out where I was at. But I took a photo class, and my teacher, Miss Takimoto, like taught me everything that I knew. Like she got me very interested into it. I might have failed a semester, but that was, high school. But started in her class where we were learning like pinhole camera and how to develop your own film and your own prints using a pinhole camera and like loading film in the dark and everything, and then moved into digital in her class. And back then, like my photos, I look at them now and I'm like, what was I shooting? It was very, what's the word for it? It was very fine art in a sense of way. If you would think about it, like it'd be like weird things like a chair in a room or a palm tree or raindrops on a window. Really weird stuff, overly saturated, horribly composed, stuff like that.
I feel like that's how it is every time like somebody begins their hobby in photography. It's they go on iPhoto on their Mac.
I used Picasso 3.
Is that good?
It was a very old program. It was like free or something, and you can only do like minor adjustments. But I was using Picasso 3. Didn't have any clue about Photoshop. They had Aperture on iMac. Horrible program. Worst thing that I've ever tried. But they tried to get us to use that in school, and then eventually learned about Lightroom. But so I stayed in that class for 4 years with her, where my third year, it was only me and like 5 other people that had been in the class. Everyone else had kind of graduated or walked off and started doing different classes, or before that, they were like their senior year. So they didn't really get a chance to grow in the school. So by my senior year, it was only me and my friend Cami that were in that class. And then we ended up pretty much being like TAs. We got to do really whatever we wanted, try different projects. We competed in a lot of different art competitions in the state of Hawaii for either high school or for Canon and stuff, which was really cool. And that's kind of when I started focusing more and more on wanting to do this as a career. It was kind of weird though, because my parents wanted me to do other things, like get a normal job that has like regular finances, health benefits and stuff. And I was just like not at that point.
Right.
Never really was at that point. I'd appreciate the stability, but I liked the not knowing of what's next because I didn't like to be confined by that.
Interesting.
And so I kind of stopped photography for a little while. I was in a very weird place, bad relationship, bad life decisions at the time, which...
How old were you then?
18. Yeah, 18. Okay. 18, 19. Moved out of my parents' house, made some more bad decisions. Mostly took photos for my own self at that point. Like, it wasn't like I was going out of my way to book shoots or anything.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with one of my best friends a lot. And we would go to the beach for hours and take underwater pictures on my iPhone 5 at the time because I didn't have a camera. And that's just how I shot for a really long time. I got used to practicing in the water and using natural lighting to the best of my ability, and then didn't really keep pursuing it. It was just more of like a fun thing at the time, and then I decided to move to California.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. Parents waived the ability of going to school for free off of the GI Bill in front of my face and were like, hey, if you don't leave, you're not going to go to school. And so I made the hard decision to go to school and took a couple classes at Miracosta just because I didn't want to stop school, just in case, because it's like you don't really want to get off of track and get behind. So I took a class on climate change. Whoa. And I did, I think, 2 photo classes. It was a film class and a digital class.
Nice.
And it was very interesting because the film class was really, really cool. But then the other photo class, it was counted as a beginner class and everyone in there was beginners. And I just kind of sat there and knew everything that we were doing, so it was kind of a weird situation. But one day while I was bored in that class, I discovered the art institutes and ended up applying to go to school there for their January semester. And then got in.
And she got in.
Yeah. Woo. I was very surprised, but it was really cool. That school was very expensive, very appalled at how expensive it is. But
oh my gosh.
I learned a lot of really good things at the Art Institute that I don't think I would have ever gotten anywhere else, like in a regular school that's focused on other core curriculars.
Yeah.
You know, that school was geared more towards artsy kids that don't do well in math or don't do well in science or don't do well in English or anything like that, but do really well and excel in things like gaming and fashion design and cooking and photo and video. So it was really nice to actually be in an area where you're more focused on your career versus on geometry.
Right.
You know? And then what happened after that? While I was there, I won a contest with Volcom for an underwater photo.
I remember that.
It was picked as the top photo out of 350 submissions, and it was like the top 5.
Nice. And you shot it on your iPhone.
Yeah, I shot it on my iPhone. It's
So
a
crazy.
picture of a girl swimming underwater in Waimea Bay from like 3 years ago, but
With these beautiful light rays coming down there.
yeah, the way that it looks, it's like it's a very turquoise color,
Yeah.
very light ray shining on the bottom, just really surreal.
Yeah.
And then so after that, I applied for an internship with them and held an internship for over a year with them, as well as worked as their photo assistant. Most of my internship was for the global product imagery department, where I worked on asset management for the catalogs, which is pretty much just renaming photos to style names and organizing everything so it's easy for them to find, easy to ship out to companies like Nordstrom and stuff when they needed the photos for their website. And then I would assist in the photo shoots on everything that they needed for photo shoots in studio.
Did you like it?
I liked it.
Okay.
It was very hard. I got very tired because I'd have to go there super early, go to school, and then work at my retail job at IKEA and deal with that. And it was a very, very hard time. But after that was done, I kind of went into my last 2 quarters of school, I think, and didn't do very much during those last 2 quarters. I attended a lot of festivals during that time where I tried to photograph as much as I could for as long as I could, because not every festival, like Insomniac, you can't bring cameras in if you're just a regular person, whereas events like Dirty Bird Campout and Lightning in the Bottle and Desert Hearts, you can bring your camera literally wherever you want.
Yeah.
And
It
have
doesn't
the
matter.
creative ability to capture whatever you want and enjoy it in that way, which is
Right.
probably one of my favorite things about that part of the scene.
Right.
Just because you're free to do what you want up to a certain point.
And what I love about that, those festivals and having your camera on you at all times like that, but also enjoying the music festival, is that you get, in my opinion, not just you, me as well, like more genuine photos.
Yeah.
Because you're there enjoying it with the right people at the right times. And like with what we're doing now, which is just like,
It's polar opposites.
Yeah.
I feel like the way that I see it is people at the camping festivals and stuff, they're more relaxed. It's got maybe 3-4 days if you're lucky. You have so many people that are there that are dressing to impress, but that's also how they express themselves. And you get some really unique individuals that you see, or a lot of, like, it gives you an opportunity to connect with fashion brands that are vending at the events and create like new friendships with so many different people that are there because they love the environment and they love the scene, they love the art, they love the music, they love everything about it. And it's very different than going to a regular rave and stuff, because a lot of the kids there they're fresh out of high school.
right.
They're not as older into the scene, I guess, in a sense of way, so they still have a lot of things that they're trying to deal with and haven't fully accepted themselves, I feel, in a way.
Yeah.
Where there's
they're
not a lot
still
of
finding
creativity
themselves.
too at the same time in what they're
Right.
wearing, in the sense of way. Because I feel like the transformational festivals kind of promote the BU vibe even more
Right.
than what a regular festival would.
And with those, you get more, I mean, like I said this previously, more of the genuineness. And
Yeah.
also like having your camera on you at all times. And what we're doing now is running to and from
Different.
a cart or
Yeah.
whatever, grabbing a picture of somebody, running back, editing it. And we're not there at all times, like when the lighting's
Fully
perfect or when the
immersed in
vibe is
everything.
perfect. Yeah, you get a lot of better photos when you're fully immersed in something. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that is best about the transformational festivals like Lightning in a Bottle, or, I mean, is that transformational?
In a sense
Okay.
of way. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And then like
It's
a
a
Dirty
music
Bird
and arts
Camp Out.
festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those people, it's like you're on site at all times for transformational festivals, in the sense of way where you're exploring and going to different places and catching different things. Where I've never actually worked for those companies though, so it might be different on there and when they're doing media too, because they have requirements for social media and marketing and posting and stuff, but
Right.
there's more to it than going and shooting at a certain stage to get a specific shot that they need that doesn't always provide the most creativity.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like a general standard that needs to be documented without question because it's something that they're known for having.
Right.
In a sense of way. Yeah.
Perfectly put. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that being said, like, what was the moment that you knew that you wanted to do this? I mean, do you know that you want to do this for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Okay. What was that specific moment? Did you have that? Photograph,
It
that
was
is.
a lot of different moments over the years. Like,
Okay.
a lot of different signs were reassuring to me that reminded me that I wanted to do this forever. Like, the different experiences that I've gotten to have and go through, like, it's really hard to pinpoint a moment, but I just remember after I started school at the art institutes, I knew that I wanted to do photo for the rest of my life in whatever way that I could, like without any sense of holding back and fear of it. It was just more of a getting a game plan together to figure out how to pull it off without being living in a box or something.
Let me stop you right there. So you've never had any fear about pursuing this life?
No. The only thing that I've ever really feared is the financial stability, but given my own personality and the person that I am, I'm okay with dealing without the financial stability in that aspect because I know I'm always going to find a way to make it work.
Right.
Whether I want to keep working at IKEA for the rest of my life or not, I'll find a way to make it work, whether it means doing weddings or baby photos or anything like that. I'd rather get the chance to do more things that I love than not have to deal with that. Yeah. Hey.
We have a dog about to bark. With that being said, what is your worst experience on a job, on a photography job?
Which kind of job?
I don't know. Whichever one.
Let's see. I think honestly for me the worst part is, I hate to say it, but being a female in a sense of way, you have this worry about being in crowds of people where people are kind of more aggressive in a sense of way about things that they're doing, and it's more so just a fear of having to deal with that on top of having the stress of the job, because I'm not going to ever let being a woman stop me from what I want to do. But there are some like things that I feel like I have to be more careful with. Right. In a sense of way to protect myself.
And so let's go into that, being a female in this industry, because I find that super interesting because I am not a female. So I don't know what you all have to deal with on a daily basis. I can try to educate myself, but...
Yeah. For me, it's like when you're in a club, there are a lot of guys that are there. Right. They don't always have the best intentions. So one of the worries is, unfortunately, when you're at the end of the night, say it's like 2 a.m, is getting back to your car and making sure that you're safe and stuff like that. But also, as a woman, you have this responsibility to look out for other people, not just yourself. And so my fear is having to help protect someone else because someone else can't be an adult about what their actions and take responsibility for it. Because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of girls have gotten really intoxicated and taken advantage of. And whenever I've noticed it, I've stepped in, but it's never been a good situation to be in. Right. You know, but that's what I'm really glad for, like how the scene is changing now with creating things like Ask for Angela. I don't know if you...
No, I've never heard of that.
So I've seen it on like social media and stuff where it's pretty much at a club, they'll go and like have a new system where if you are uncomfortable or in a weird situation, you can go to any of the staff members and say, you're asking if Angela is working, and they'll find a way to get you out of that situation and get you home safe.
Oh, wow.
Even so at G. Jones's show, he had a bunch of, business cards that were like spread throughout the bathrooms. he posted it. They had a bunch of posters and stuff within the Belasco that were stating things like that about consent. And if you're in an uncomfortable situation, any staff member is willing to help you. To not be afraid of anyone, like to make sure like you do what you can to protect yourself. And I feel like that's something that's very important these days, because a lot of people will turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
So other than that, the thing that I hate the most, or like my biggest fear in a sense of way, is the bros, because you'll be taking a shot and a bro just kind of comes and ruins your shot by like forcing you to take a picture of them. And it's kind of like, come on.
Oh, that happens to me too.
It's the worst. Like that's probably my biggest pet peeve, because I'm big on respect. And the second that someone starts acting like that, it's not respectful. Like, at least say please and thank you. It doesn't take that long to be like, hey, do you take a picture of me when you're done? Instead of jumping in my shot and ruining something I'd probably been working on for like 2 minutes trying to figure out.
Right.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And so as a female, like when you get jobs or gigs, do you have to pay extra careful attention to how the people who are hiring you are talking to you, or the payment of that? Or
luckily for me, I deal with a lot of female employers in a sense of way within at least the fashion industry. And Insomniac, it's a really great boss, so I don't have to worry about anything with that. They always try to do what they can to make sure that I'm not put in a situation that I'm not comfortable with.
Right.
Just when I get jobs and stuff, I think a little bit more about safety in a sense of way. Like if they want me to travel, I think about, okay, how long is it going to take me to get there? What time is it going to be done? And what kind of neighborhood the event's going to be in, or the job's going to be in, because depending on where it's at, I might charge you a little bit more just for safety reasons, because it's like you're going to make me go to this super sketchy place and leave late at night. Yeah. And I try to always like tell people around me, like my boyfriend or my parents, whenever I have a job, so that they know where I'm at and they know how to get into contact with me. And like I turn on my Find My Friends app thing. Like I just share it with my boyfriend all the time, so he can kind of stalk me if he needs to.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Stalk me.
Better safe than sorry.
I think we said what it was the worst job experience you've had.
The worst job?
Did we go over that?
I don't think I said like a worst job. It's more so like the experiences that I've dealt with. So
what was if you can make a singular best job experience photography wise besides IKEA?
I think probably the best experience that I've had that just holds a lot of like special moments in my heart was shooting the Desert Hearts Spring Festival, specifically for the Glitter Spies for their fashion show.
Oh, those photos were so fucking good. Jesus Christ.
Pretty much for anyone that hasn't been to Desert Hearts or does not know of the Glitter Spies, Ashley and Tesla, they pretty much during like City Hearts or Desert Hearts, depending on what festival it is that they want to do this at, they bring a dance floor they bring a runway into the middle of the dance floor where they will showcase brands of the vendors that are working at the event. So people that are having a booth there and stuff get the opportunity to showcase some of their best styles, usually on like 2 people, and they'll pick like a specific set, bring the runway out to the dance floor, and then it's just like the fastest like 30 minutes of your life, because you have so many people all surrounding the little runway, and there's just all these amazing people walking down the runway. And then at the end, they open it up for regular attendees to get on and show their styles, which is really cool because it's another way of paying respect to the art of festival fashion. Yeah. You have a DJ playing music that everyone really loves, and then you have all these brands and people, and it's a really high energy moment, but that's probably one of my favorite moments that I've ever gotten to experience. Yeah.
And I remember you showing me those photos, and like first of all, the lighting at that time that they were doing, was it good or bad? I just
It was
remember.
at, I think, 12 or 1 noon.
Okay.
But the way that the area is kind of set up, it's in the trees, thankfully, kind of ish. But
So was it like sun poking
harsh.
through?
No,
Okay. No, it was harsh.
Very harsh lighting.
I just remember like a very vibrant, like golden energy from those photos, and like everybody's expression on their faces is just so well done, and like just the energy and the vibe of the photos are really, really well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good job.
I think one of the harder parts of that though is there's like 7 or 6 other photographers that are also there trying to take pictures, but I'm just glad I had the priority over that because that's what Ashley and Tesla wanted.
Yeah. And so when you have all these photographers shooting the same thing, does it make you feel a certain way? Because I know for me, I'm like, oh my God, we all have like the same focal length and we're all shooting the same artist or we're all shooting the same person. Like, how am I going to make my photos different, whether that's coloring, double exposures, whatever, using lens, like different things. So how do you feel when you're surrounded by other photographers shooting the same thing?
So for me, it was more so like when I was shooting that, it's a little nerve-wracking to have that many other people. But thankfully, I had priority in a more prime position at the end of the runway where people would stop and go to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little bit easier for me because I knew I got picked for a specific reason, which is Ashley and Tesla really love the way that I document people and capture their energy. And just it's more, I do a lot more candid in the moment things where it's either high energy or high emotion, a lot of different variables in that movement and stuff like that. And so I wasn't super worried about the other people because when I've seen other Desert Hearts albums, they're all different. Everyone has a different take on something. They don't collectively compile everything into one album to make it a whole album.
Right.
They showcase every single person's individual talents in their own album.
Yeah.
Which is cool because then you get different varieties and different styles and different viewpoints of the festival, which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
And so that being said, with the fashion show is very interesting. But what I ended up doing was making sure it was also my birthday weekend.
Hey.
So after going, I made sure that I tried to be the very first person to get my photos out, which was left the festival a little bit early on Monday, drove home, and just edited my heart away while it was still very fresh.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like everyone comes back from the festivals and the festival's done and the first photos that they see now that they're back in Signal is mine.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Everyone was super excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you with that when you shoot? Like, do you need time between shooting and editing? Do you want to get the edits done first thing so that it's fresh in your mind, like you just said? In that situation,
it depends on the circumstances of my own mental capacity and stability, because after, say, working a very long festival, sometimes you just want to go home and sleep.
Yeah.
And recuperate, especially like after shooting some of the Insomniac events, you're very tired.
Yeah.
You get done working like 16-hour days and you go home and you just want to sleep for a day and then get back into it. And, you know, like, but like when I do weddings, I take about 4 weeks to do the edits for the weddings because not only do I need to recuperate from that, I also still have my day job that I have to go to. So I have to balance it out between working and not getting myself burnt out on staring at a computer for 5-6 hours a day.
Yeah, that fucking sucks. And just so people know, working for Insomniac events, yes, it is a fucking awesome
there's nothing else like it
job to have. Like, and I'm so lucky for the people that I've met and the circumstances I was in to lead me to get this job. Because it did not, you don't apply for it online. Like you have to know people who can get you in, or, you know,
or you just get lucky.
Yeah. Right place, right time. It's a lot of different circumstances, as it is for other jobs and careers in the arts or whatever it may be. Right place, right time, luck, whatever it may be. But it is a very taxing job because we just worked Countdown 2018, which is a music festival in San Bernardino, and it was just a 13 hour day, and it was a lot. And then we got home at 6 a.m.
I went back to work the next day.
Yeah, Keiki slept for 2-3 hours and then went to her retail job.
And then came back and slept some more.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I still haven't slept. Oh my God. But, I get a lot of questions of like, how did you get this job? Like, you're so lucky. And in the moment, like, sometimes I do take it for granted because I'm like, you have no idea how tired I am. Like, you don't know, like, the stress is going on in my life. Like, and then there's little moments throughout the festival where I'm like, this is so fucking awesome. Like, I'm on stage with one of the biggest artists, DJs in the world, or like, my job is to take pictures of these weird character performers that Insomniac has, and they do such a great job with like
makeup and special effects.
Yeah, special effects and these beautiful art installations that we have to photograph them in front of, which is a blessing. But the job also comes with taxing
territory.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exhausting things that go on about it because you either have to make the decision if you stay out and shoot, or you go back in and edit for a little bit and then go back and shoot. And you have to make a lot of mental decisions on what is the priority.
Yes.
And you have assignments and things that you need to do. And there's always like the worry, like, what if you don't get it?
Yeah.
What if it doesn't work out? Like, what if the lighting's not good? What if my camera messes up? Like, it's a lot of different varieties of things. Like, it's such a blessing to work with them and get the ability to be respected and treated the way that I deserve as an artist, because there's not a lot of people in the scene that'll treat you the way that you deserve.
Right.
They're very consistent and stuff like that. There's a lot of, lately at least, there's been a lot more of creative expansion and variety, which is nice to see that the standard photos are slowly changing. Yeah,
into something more. I mean, with me, they asked to go experimental, which is fun. I dig that. Like, exactly. I'm tired of taking, posed stage shots or fisheye behind the DJ or whatever it may be. Like, it gets exhausting. And so
I think that's one of the main things that I try to always remember to avoid in a sense of way, because even though I have my assignments and stuff, and it's easy to get caught up in doing the standard typical shots. It's very easy. There's like 5 or 3 or 6 of us that are working, and it's very hard to not compare yourself in a sense of way, because everyone comes from different backgrounds, but then you have to remind yourself, like, you're here for a specific reason. And that's one of the things that you actually told me was just, you're here for a reason. They like you for a reason because of how you shoot. So, stay true to that. And that's one of the things that, like, I repeatedly remind myself over the weekend, like, don't get caught up. Like, it's just, just be you. Like, it's okay. Like, you can't compare yourself to other people, because at the end of the day, you'll be unhappy.
Do you fall into that trap every once in a while, the comparison trap?
Sometimes.
Okay.
When I start seeing them post other people's photos, like, more regularly, and I'm like, what the hell? Where's mine? But then I realize it's not anything personal. It's just they have an agenda on what they need to post. Right. And someone might have done it better. Or didn't get it. Or you didn't get it and someone else did. So. Right. Just one of those things.
What was some of the worst career advice you've ever been given?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yes. I've been told not to pursue photography before by other people. Where they saw something else for me, or I was told that I wasn't deserving of the stuff that I was accomplishing by an ex-significant other, which I still think about sometimes to this day, because it's kind of a weird thing to have someone that you care about tell you that. Yeah. I've had people try to tell me what to change about my art to shoot for the client and not shoot for yourself. But in reality, you're shooting for yourself at all times, whether you have a client or not. If the client doesn't like the work that you submit to them, they hired you for a reason, and you're not going to have to change who you are because they want you to shoot differently.
Right.
You know, like if you're more of an experimental artist and they tell you they want you to come and shoot and you do everything that you normally do and then they're not happy with it, that's not your fault.
Right.
That's the booker's fault for not clarifying what they wanted, you know?
Yeah. Now, what's the best career advice you've ever been given?
The best advice was I was in high school, and I still think about this every single time that I go out to shoot, where there's a photographer in Hawaii. His name is Rick Noyle. If you've heard of Zach Noyle, he's Zach Noyle's dad. He photographs for WSL, for Red Bull, he's pretty much the surf photographer of the world. Like, he's one of the best surf photographers that there is. And so anyways, I competed in a competition for the Scholastic Art Awards my senior year of high school and ended up meeting Rick. And he was one of the people that judged the artworks that picked one of my photos for I think it was a silver medal award or something, and it was a picture of some mermaid chick in a pool with a flash. It was horribly done. And one of his advices to me was to always shoot loose and edit tight. So
What does that mean?
And it kind of can be whatever you want it to be, but in the context that he said it, it was more so like shoot in a way that it gives you more options to in post work with. So like I shoot as loose as I can with like my subjects without it being like too of a wide shot in a sense of way where say I'm taking a portrait of somebody. For me, shooting loose is like giving yourself just enough space to adjust the cropping just a little bit and then going in and editing everything to the way that I wanted to. But
Got you.
I don't do a lot of edits anyways. Like I don't do a lot of Photoshop. I do some skin retouching or teeth retouching or blemish retouching. But other than that, like I try to leave it as pure as possible. But that gives me more room to work because when I'm shooting, I'm looking for those things already. Especially after working at Volcom, I'm very acute to the small details, like strands of hair or what's it called? A stain or something on someone's face or anything like that. Like
A stain on their face.
Yeah, you know, coffee stains and stuff like that. I'm very acute to those kind of little things, or like when their shirt looks a little weird or bulgy and stuff. I try to get that out so I don't have to edit as hard in the end. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I guess just two more questions because I got to start getting out of here to go play games with my mother and her friends, which is so weird to say.
Your mom's fun.
Yeah, she's so fun. She's so funny. Actually, no, I may be late because I like these last couple questions. What would be your advice? Let's say somebody's following you on Instagram.
Don't follow me. No, sorry.
Hashtag do not follow Keiki. What would be some like of your best advice you would give to somebody who's just starting out in this field or the photography field?
You kind of need to know who you are as an artist.
Yep.
And what you will or will not take from somebody in the sense of way, like when you're getting a job and someone is not willing to pay you in the sense of way that you deserve. You have to know what you will or will not stand for, you know. It's easy to do a lot of work for trade and stuff, but you need to be selective in those things depending on, obviously you need to build relationships with people, but at the same time, like you can't be limiting yourself or straining yourself to do all this extra work for someone and then they don't even like offer to pay for your gas or your parking or something. You know, you need to know your worth first before you can fully push head on into it, because it's hard there's a lot of people that want to be a photographer, say they're a photographer, and especially with new iPhones and everything, you know, your mom thinks she's a photographer now.
Yeah.
she has portrait mode on her phone, and that might be her little passion, but there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to be better than you, but there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to be worse than you, but they're going to do better than you because they have a different work ethic. They've already learned what they're willing to or not willing to do, or, you know, like they know how to market themselves and run their business in a sense of way where they're able to be profitable.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I notice that a lot. Like, I feel like I take okay photos, right? And then I'll look at somebody who takes like not the best photos, but they'll be making bank and
They're
driving
getting
like
jobs and like traveling, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell did I do?
Like, your photo, like, no offense to any of those people, but like your photos just
They're not fully developed in the sense
not
of way
fully
technically
developed.
or
Right. It looks like you read a manual on how to take a photo and you took that photo, but somehow you're killing it in the business field. And that's one thing that just pisses me off about photography. Like, talent does not really matter.
No.
And like emphasis on like does not really.
if you know someone, you can get a job.
Yeah.
But
And if you have like a decent camera and a
or a
MacBook
good
with
lens
Lightroom,
or
like,
something at least.
sometimes you can just get a job, and it kind of like pisses me off because it's like I'm taking a little bit better photos than you. Like, why is it not fair? Like,
Yeah, it's not going to be an equivalency kind of test, like, just because it's very frustrating because you'll see people that you might have been shooting for a really long time. Like, I've been shooting for 10 years, and I've seen people that just like decided to pick up a camera, and because they know who they know, they've gotten more jobs.
right.
They might not like they're going to take the best photos, but somehow
They've made it.
and you're still here trying to figure out what the hell is going on and what paradox you're in.
Exactly. Also, yeah, going into that, what is one thing that you wish you knew before starting out?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know I would have trouble answering this too.
What I wish I knew starting out. You can have a nice camera and take trash photos. So what that means is you have this amazing piece of equipment, amazing camera, amazing lens, but if you don't know your craft and you don't know how to manipulate light or work with the camera in a way that allows it to show you what you want to see, then your photos aren't going to translate because you're going to sit there and you're going to shoot on auto or AV or TV, which no shame to anyone who does that, you know, because that's how some people learn and that's their process. But until you fully learn like how everything works, it's going to take you a lot of time to produce the images that you want to show.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's one of those things.
And coming to a conclusion, 2 more questions. What is one person, brand, or company that you would want to collaborate or work with in the future? I think I know.
Well, one of the main people that I've really wanted to work with is Porter Robinson. After seeing Yassi's photos, which is pretty much his like tour photographer, it's given me a lot of inspiration. I was able to photograph him his virtual self at Hard Summer, which was a very surreal experience for myself because here's this artist that I've been following since he started
for so long, and she's such a big fan, and it's
like,
crazy. Like, every time we hang out, I think you talk about him for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. His the way that his vision and his art is something that I really align my photographs with in a sense of way. Like, I try to pull as much colors as I can because I get a lot of inspiration from his live sets. Just visually, like the color combinations and things like that. Like, I try to replicate those in my photos and stuff, but I also try to put my own spin on it. And so I feel like it would be such a great opportunity to work with someone that is as accepting as he is of the artist's view in that sense, because I read an interview where Yasi was talking about how he kind of just gave her the ability and permission to do whatever she wanted, to create whatever images she wanted. And her images have been so incredible to see that she has that kind of creative freedom, you know, and any person that allows a photographer to create at their own free will is highly respectable in my book, in a sense of way, because then that means you actually appreciate their vision, because no two people see the world the same way. And photography, at least for me, is my way of showing people what I see and how I see things. And that's just one of those things that I've always been geared towards, I guess.
Yeah. That's a big thing for me, is the permission aspect. Is like, once, because I always feel like I have to check in with somebody before I do something or release something to be like, is this good enough? Like, what do you think or whatever? And like, being given the permission to do whatever the fuck you want or shoot whatever you want, and like, from somebody else, or even like giving yourself permission, like that's something that I need to work on, is like giving myself permission to work on what I want to. And I've become a little bit better on that, but like
it's a hard thing to go through.
Permission. Interesting.
People always have their intention of what they want out of something or how it to look, but to get the creative freedom and ability to document and create as much as you want, it's really refreshing and freeing. So
it's challenging too.
Because then you're like, wait, what do I shoot now? You sure you don't know anything that you want me to do? And they just don't tell you what they want you to do, and you're like, wait. It's like this constant like second guessing between yourself, like, they said do whatever I want, but did they really mean it? What do you mean? Like, do you want more of this, or just one of those things?
And a lot of times that creates something, I mean, just more beautiful. Like this week, Graham, who's the photo lead at Insomniac, gave me the permission to go and take like experimental photos of like the performers at the Insomniac event. And with that permission also came a challenge, right? And I feel like I got like really weird experimental photos out of it, but like I wouldn't have got those photos. There was one that I liked a lot, but like if I wasn't given that permission, I wouldn't have pushed myself
to
that
do
far.
That.
You know? That's a big thing. Wow.
Yeah. That's how I felt with shooting Escape, being told to go shoot the people, the performers, because that's more of my thing. Shooting the DJ and stuff is cool and stuff, but being able to pose and work with the actual creepy clown performers and stuff, like that was really refreshing to me, because I'm more into those personable moments, especially like I love creepy stuff.
Same here.
So I ended up on a carousel walking backwards away from 3 creepy ass clowns. I don't really like clowns, but I was photographing them like climbing over things and like walking towards me, which was also kind of gave me a nightmare, but it was very interesting to go through and be able to do those kind of experiences. Like I was able to take up Tweedledee and Tweedledum into a Ferris wheel, which I wouldn't normally have done if I would have just seen them walking around.
And like, also, what other job would you get this experience to like walk backwards on a carousel with 3 creepy dudes? Like you don't get there doing anything else. It's so weird, and it's like, but it's also beautiful and like shocking at moments, but it's really, really nice.
It's a lot of surreal moments to experience, because it's like, not too long ago, I was just attending these festivals, dropping hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to go because I love the music. And I never really fully thought that I would jump into Insomniac events and shoot for them, you know, like that was never initially in my game plan. I was kind of like, maybe one day, who knows, it'd be sick to do this, or it'd be sick to, you know, photograph this. And then next thing you know, okay, you are doing this now, and you are photographing these people, and what is going on? Like, it's a very trippy.
Has it become normal to you though now?
No,
No,
not
Okay.
at all. Like it's still very
New.
it's very new because it's only started since August, but I'm always like surprised and relieved when they ask me to come back for another job. Like, okay,
Right.
cool, I did good. Like
Yeah.
they still like me. You know?
Oh, I'm so surprised every single time somebody asks me to like shoot for them. I'm like, really? Like,
You're
what?
like, wow. Okay, cool. I did good that time.
Yeah.
That's how I usually kind of feel about it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I miss when I was first starting out is that like kind of newbie, like, oh my God, this is all so new. Because now it's like, first of all, I feel like I'm 50 years old. And then just, what?
It's true.
Yeah, no, I feel so
You get
old.
home and you're like, I can't walk
Yeah.
anymore. I'm going to go die on my bed for a week.
Yeah, I feel like unsurprised by anything now. And I don't know why. And maybe it will change. And maybe I'm just tired.
I feel like you go in spurts.
Yeah, I definitely
Of
do
it.
go in spurts.
You know, like I've had moments where I'm like, holy shit, this is really happening. Like I'm going to shoot this, or I'm shooting
Right.
this person, or like they want me to go do this. Like, really? Like me? Are you sure? There's a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of those things where I constantly find myself like going back and forth between it.
Yeah. So last question. Are you ready for it?
I kind of have to pee.
Drum roll. Okay, we'll pause.
Thank you.
I have to pee too. I'm going to use phone. Last question.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Okay.
All right.
No.
Okay. Well, then that concludes.
you're
Okay. Drum roll, please. Beautiful. Where do you see yourself in the future? Going down this long and windy path.
Oh man. I see a lot of different things for myself in my future. Photo wise and stuff, like I have a lot of plans for this year on what I want to do.
And those are?
Some of them are secret because I'm still trying to figure out how to work them out. But there's a lot of things that I want to go and do and experience and stuff. Like my main thing that's my major priority this year is to go to Burning Man to experience that. Just because I've been waiting probably 3 or so years to go. Like I've been wanting to go for a really long time, but it just wasn't really right in the cards or anything. Something about 2019 feels very promising in that sense.
Right? Yeah.
Where for me that would feel like the ultimate place to go and document and experience, because not only are you in a brand new environment, it's a totally different experience in itself. I mean, you're there for a week and you pretty much have to survive. And you know, like if you don't come prepared, then you're kind of
Screwed.
Yeah, you're pretty much shit out of luck. Like
I would assume maybe there's like helpful people there.
There's a lot of helpful people
yeah.
there from what I've done my research into and friends that I've talked to. You know, like there's a lot of different theme camps that
Yeah.
do different things. Like there's Mimosa Sunrise where they do mimosas at sunrise every single day. There's other camps like the Google camp, I believe, has Wi-Fi, which I would not be interested in, but it's a lot of the executives that work at Google that have their thing. There's a lot of different party little theme camps and stuff. Some people that do like Ego Trip from San Diego go out there. There's Pink Mammoth and a bunch of other different theme camps to experience. Like there's just so much, like from what I've heard, you can be there a week and not experience everything.
Right.
Because there's so many different things to do and so much time to be had. And like, for me, that just seems like the best place because then I won't have to make any commitments. I can roam free and discover new things or practice new things with my photography that I feel like I've been putting off for a while. Where I'd also want to go there and test out my new skills that I've kind of acquired within the last year and a half since graduating. And so it's one of those things where it's like, photo vacation galore kind of experience, because there's so much art and people.
And like the backdrop is just
Yeah.
absolute, like it's
There's nothing else
unreal.
like it. Like it's just
right. And like the sunsets and the dust storms and
the
stuff.
sunrises.
It's surreal.
There's so many different, even like the burn night and everything too. Like
Yeah.
all of that is just so incredible to me to like
Right.
want to experience it and document it. Is just one of those things.
Mm.
And then, you know, like for at least right now, I've only really thought about like for this year, because I try to go and take it a year at a time, because I don't want to get too caught up in where I think I should be in 7 years or 10 years.
Dude, that's so good.
I just know that I want to keep doing this. You know, I'm planning for the end of this year to finally quit my retail job so I can go full force into everything that I love to do.
Yeah.
Because since I graduated, I feel like I've grown a lot now that I don't have that time restraint of you have to go to class Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 or whatever it is. You know, I don't have that requirement or commitment to be dealing with. Now it's just like a 9-to-5 job that I have to deal with, which I'm very grateful for. It has helped me through a lot of very hard times, but it has also held me back a lot, because I've had to turn down jobs because there's no real like true flexibility. You know, once the schedule's kind of made, you either got to figure it out or say no to the job, which sucks because you have to turn down some really amazing jobs, or, you know, disappoint some amazing friendships that you have, because it's like, well, I would love to create with you, but I have work. And it's like, okay, that's one of those things. But hopefully by like August time frame, I can let that go and just start the whole new year just working hard, really, you know. Other than that, I plan to travel, go back to places that I visited when I lived in Japan when I was little, and just spend more time with family and grow as an artist. Hopefully one day have a gallery or like an exhibit or something to showcase people that I've documented.
Yeah.
Or experiences and stuff. Or maybe even make a photo book. I don't know yet, though. There's just a lot of different things that kind of like swirl up in my head, and then I forget about it. And then I look and see something like, oh yeah, I wanted to do that. Why didn't I do that?
Do you ever write it down, or is it just all in your head?
I like start things and like kind of get an idea, and then I'm like, okay, next thing.
Yeah.
I get distracted very easily.
I do too.
That's the problem of being an artist sometimes, is there's so many things to do in so little time.
Yeah.
And you want to do so many different things, and you want to do it differently than somebody else. But then at the end of the day, you're like, I can't really afford to do it differently than somebody else, so I might need to do it the same way. Stuff like that. So probably get another dog.
No, what?
Eventually. Not anytime soon, but eventually once this one chills out. I feel bad. He's always alone.
Oh, he's the cutest dog ever.
Other than that, I'd really love to go back to traveling, because I want to go back to Taiwan to visit family that I have there and document a part of my culture that I feel like I've neglected for so long. Not because I've had a choice, really. It's more so been circumstance of going to school and having a job and working and doing 2 jobs at one time. You know, you don't get a lot of vacation time. And so I feel like that part of my family, I would love to go document and photograph so that I could keep that part of my family history kind of alive.
Right.
And hopefully eventually make more solidified relationships with them so that I could continue to go back and visit them, even though I can't understand a word that they're saying except for, are you hungry? And if I'm going to be in trouble or not. But it's just part of me that I feel is very distant now that I'm back in the States, which is sad, but it drives me to want to make it out that way again and be there and see everything and be able to be like, hey, I got to see my family, and bring pictures back from my grandmother, who doesn't always get pictures of family from Taiwan. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I want to thank you
Of course.
for being my first
Thank
guest
you.
on this.
I'm honored.
Sorry if it was nerve-wracking.
It's okay. I kind of always know it's going to be something interesting with you. So.
Yeah, thank you. I take that as a compliment. And also just seeing your work grow throughout the past 2-3 years or whatever it has been, like, is incredible. And
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to see where you go and end up and
I appreciate that.
everything you do, because you're on a really good path right now. So
Yeah.
just keep on going.
I'm just going to quit now.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
So
kidding.
this is the first and last interview you'll ever hear from Keiki.
I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you. You
Yeah.
know, I really appreciate it. You've been very supportive and inspiring over the last couple years. Your advice has always been very appreciated, even though I might not have listened. It was very appreciated in most of the circumstances, and I'm glad to have a friend that I can call family.
Yeah.
Like you, that understands the artist's struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for all the IHOP times.
IHOP, chicken and waffles. Thank you for listening, people.
Thank
I
you for
am
having me.
Keiki. All one word on Instagram at I am Keiki.
It's just I'm Keiki.
I'm Keiki.
Yeah.
I am.
I've had people type in IAM.
Oh
Keiki.
shit. Okay, never mind. Delete.
It's just I'm Keiki.
If you're on your phone right now, go to Instagram, look her up. So good. Only gonna get so much better.
Hopefully.
Yeah. No, not hopefully. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.